Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for October 12th through the 18th. And during that time, we'll have the waning gibbous into the last quarter on the 15th, and then the waning crescent. And those waning energies are really about it's really about self-reflection and kind of letting go of things that don't serve us, especially on that last quarter day. You're really kind of taking responsibility for things that you've done in this previous cycle and kind of making decisions like, this is what worked, this is what I'm going to keep, this is what I'm going to throw out. And then that waning crescent is just really just total surrender, rest, and healing, just that quiet time right before the new moon when we're going to start new things. So it's kind of a time to just rest and rejuvenate a little bit before the new cycle starts. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Scorpio. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: your dreams need a practical plan. Okay, let's see what kind of practicalities Scorpio needs to work on this week. And as I'm shuffling, I would like to say that my weekly reminder this week is that you try to get some time in to meditate. So, daily, if not daily, definitely, a couple times a week. And if it's not something that you already do, it can be so beneficial. Just really try to find a good quiet space where you can still yourself, go within, and just quiet your mind and explore. So, if you need help with that, there's lots of meditation techniques that appear online in different places. You can find like a video thing or audio really on YouTube, where you just put some headphones on and close your eyes and let someone guide you through a meditation. So that can be really helpful if you need that extra kind of help. But that's just my fun, friendly reminder for the week, is that you take some time this week to meditate. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into this reading, Scorpio, October 12th through the 18th. Scorpio, October 12th through 18th. Your dreams need a practical plan. All right, let's see what the cards have to say about that. Okay, Scorpio, your present energy is the Emperor. So, you're definitely in a place where you're feeling those leadership skills. You're feeling like the authority on something. Our Emperor is someone who can do things in a very systematic manner, get things done. It's someone who's gotten things done in the past and can do it in the future. Someone who kind of goes by the rules and knows how to just be very systematic, right? So this is like the ultimate stability. It's a 4 in the deck. When you think of the numerology of that, the 4s are always about stability. And if you think of like a three-legged table, right? Or think about a 4-legged table, and what is more stable? Those 4 legs. So our Emperor is just one of the most stable cards in the deck. This is about true stability. So let's see what your dreams are and what this practical plan. It looks like you have the ability to do a practical plan. So your current situation is that, yeah, you're a little anxious about something. So there must be something going on. Even though you've got these leadership skills, maybe you're just feeling a little bit muddled in something that you're trying to put together, and it's causing you some stress. So let's take a breath. Let's breathe through that and know that if anyone, you're definitely, you have the ability to come up with that practical plan. At the root of this situation is the Page of Wands. So this could be something that you're newly passionate about, and maybe you're not completely knowledgeable. And so, this previous skill, this previous Emperor skills that you have, these skills of leadership and getting things done, maybe because this is a new thing, you're just feeling like, oh, do I really know how to get things done here? So if you don't, I feel like definitely you have the confidence to go gather the information that you need to make the decisions that you need to make. I just have zero doubt that you can do that. In your recent past is, yeah, you've just finished up something. So this is, you finished up one thing and now you're kind of on to the next thing. And this could be work related. For some of you, this might be relationship related. But it is something about some sort of passion or dream that you have. There's something that you want to accomplish. And I would say that, like, Let's say you're a writer of short stories. This tells me that you've just finished a short story and you've already got the next idea for the next one. Maybe you're confident in the last one, but you're a little anxious about this new one, right? Maybe the characters aren't all quite developed yet, and you don't have the full clarity in your mind of how you want to go about it, but you definitely have the skill set. So just using that as an example, feel free to template that over whatever you might be going through personally. So, all right, what is on your mind this week is the Knight of Cups. So, this is some sort of emotional action that it's on your mind to be taking. Um, Something in the realm of, this could be, just offering this cup of love to someone, offering a cup of, friendship. Um, it's just really on your mind to be kind of giving, and maybe it's maybe you're trying to get a break from this, which I don't blame you, and you're kind of seeking out a friend for that, seeking out someone, friend, partner, someone's a work colleague, maybe, to kind of run some things over, and you're doing it in a kind of you know you're kind of in a nice emotional, like you're giving to get back. That's not always the way. That's not really the reason to give, but I can kind of feel what you're doing. Like you don't really want to ask, but you want to get in this person's presence to maybe kind of not really ask directly. I'm getting for advice, but to kind of just get some general advice. Does that make sense? All right. What is just ahead of you this week is some judgment. And I see this as probably turned in, but and that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. But a lot of times, what judgment is judgment is it allows us to grow, because we're kind of making decisions based on uh, things that we're seeing, but it allows us to grow and kind of have a new awareness of something. So it can kind of change our mind. And so, but also don't be too hard on judging yourself. That might be why you're so anxious right now, and why this is going to keep you up at night. If you've had some success with a project like this in the past, and I'm actually feeling it as I'm doing your reading. I'm feeling like, oh, take a breath. If you've had success with something like this in the past, just because it's a new venture, don't get so stressed. I feel like you do have the skill set and the ability to move forward and be successful with this. So I feel like you're putting so much on yourself when it's really just unneeded. In your advice position is Queen of Cups. So we've got the Knight of Cups here with the action. Now we've got the Queen with kind of the understanding of your emotional realm, and like what you can and can't deal with, but also people around you. So, and your advice is really just to mellow out a little bit, mellow out, and kind of evaluate these emotions that you're going through, like really pinpoint what is making you so anxious about this particular project, this particular thing. There's something extra there that I feel like you're being anxious about. And if you really dig down and think about it, you'll probably uncover that. What is beyond your control this week is the Empress. So I think it's, that's totally our card of creativity and the kind of long term. This is about long term commitment and planning. I mean, typically it would be in a pregnancy, right? With this is the ultimate creator. It's the creator. She's the creator of life, but also, she's literally the mother of invention, the mother of the start of the project, of a long term, something that you would commit to long term, and that's beyond your control. So you might be stressed about it, but I feel like you are moving forward. You've got the Emperor and the Empress here, which are both um it's the creativity and the ability to move forward and get it done. So I don't think there's a question about if you will do this thing. It's more like, how will you accomplish this thing? What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid is the Knight of Swords. So, the Knight of Swords is definitely someone, it's a quick energy, it is action, but it's action in the way of communication and decision making, those thoughts that you're having. So, I'm going to say maybe get some stuff down on paper, but it's beyond your control or your secret desire to just get moving on this thing. So that'll be your big question of the week, is to answer that for yourself. Are you wanting to move quickly, or are you trying to avoid moving quickly? In your outcome position is the Five of Swords. So Now, this is our card typically of winning through deceit or underhanded tactics, which I never suggest to you, right? That's not the best idea. Also, I always see this as, it is a card of conflict, but it's almost like, some things had to be said, not everything. And are you the sayer of these things? Maybe, where you had to put some things out there and get some things off your chest, but you didn't really say everything. You held something back, which is a very leadership thing to do, also. Um, but ask yourself if there's something going on here with conflict of words, um, and that's kind of where you land. That's your outcome after the end of the week. So, are you plowing through with this night and saying something that maybe you don't mean right off? So I'm going to say be very careful about things that you say this week and make sure you really are saying the things that you mean and don't fly off the handle. Don't let this anxiety kind of push you to say things that you don't want to. What is hidden from you this week is the Knight of Wands, which is our action on the passion front. So we've got this page. So yeah, make sure your actions, while loving action is okay. This Nine of Swords, this is very quick to say the thing action, right? Quick communication action. And maybe maybe you should be trying to avoid that. Um, maybe until things are settled, we're not going to make big announcements or have big conversations with people who might have some conflict, if that makes sense. That will make total sense to some of you. It doesn't even really make sense to me, but I'm not in your situation. You are. So let's see what the Soul Oracle deck. I get my card straightened out here. Let's see what the Soul Oracle deck says for a final word for Scorpio. Final word for this. I'm even looking for numerology, which I'm not really seeing anything repeating. Huh. Okay. I mean, I think you do commit to this thing. And it's almost like you commit to it and you're coming up with a plan, like your practical plan is taking shape. And I'm going to say that maybe you don't want to be speaking this out loud yet, if that makes sense. There might be things that you need to just not say to some people for this week. Maybe next week there can be some announcing, but we're just kind of in the planning phases at this point. Okay. Soul Oracle deck for Scorpio says tune out distractions. So definitely focus. And is that what this is? The Emperor knows how to focus. The Empress does. Um, the Queen of Cups does. These knights do. These knights are focused on everything. So, what is that? What are you so worried about? And again, make a list. Anytime I'm doing something, you make that pro con list. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Maybe you're just anxious about something that you shouldn't be. So, all right, what does Scorpio need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Scorpio. And the card you get is the card called Move. A long walk is good for the soul. Get outside and allow Mother Nature to lift your spirits. Yeah, if you need a way to calm down some of this anxiety, touch grass is basically what the card is saying, that's good advice. Get grounded, get out in nature. That can be inspiring too, especially when formulating a plan. You're like, well, nature does it this way. Maybe I can work that into my plan. So definitely tune some of this out and just get out in nature a little bit and get away so that you're not thinking of this constantly. I don't know if I would advise to, again, make announcements about whatever this big change is for you or this big decision. That might want to come next week after you've kind of formulated a better plan and had more time to think about it. So, Scorpio, thank you so much for being here with me today. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know, what it is that you're going through. Was there something that made you super anxious? Are you trying to not make an announcement about something? I'd be curious about that. If you have questions also, I'm happy to answer any questions if you drop them in the comments. If you like my reading style, if you hit like and subscribe, I really appreciate that. And what it does is just pushes me out in the algorithm. And as a new YouTuber, I could really use that kind of help. So I would appreciate that. But more importantly, Scorpio, it'll help you find me next week where you can come back and we can see where this story goes next time. So thanks so much. Good luck with all this. And we'll see you next time, Scorpio. Bye-bye.